Hey everybody, this is World War Guy here today, and today I'm doing a video on why you should not buy cheap Chinese-made reproduction gear. For many people, including myself, when we get into the hobby, very beginning, we tend to buy the cheaper items for our equipment, such as here, cartridge belts and first aid pouches. And the reason for that is, first of all, we don't really know exactly what's correct and what's incorrect, since we probably haven't done much research before buying things. And also the price. These Chinese ones run about, I think I got mine for about $30. This probably maybe $15, which is actually very expensive for what it is, for the quality. So, you know, it's a lot cheaper than this one was original that the original ones maybe go, I don't know, $60 to $100, depending on condition. Reproductions, if you want a good reproduction, you gotta go for $100. So the price difference is a huge reason why a lot of people buy cheap crap in the very beginning. So this video is just gonna explain to you why you should not do that. Buy once and buy right. Alright, so this cartridge belt on the left here, this is the Chinese cheap one. This is the original, if you guys couldn't tell. Right off the bat, the flaps. As you can see, the original ones, there's a more prominent slope to each side, making it a lot more pointier looking, like an arrow. While the cheap Chinese ones are basically a flat line at the bottom with a tiny little bump in the middle. That's a big giveaway that you should not get something like that. You know, I've seen people have them in photos and they have a good impression, and then the cartridge belt just kind of makes it meh of an impression. The nipples for the lift-a-dot are a lot lower, so therefore it pulls the flaps down lower compared to the original ones, which in turn blocks most of the US sign there. So again, that's another problem of the flaps. The eyelets are a lot wider than the original ones, which is not correct. And the eyelets of the cheap ones tend to rip out very easily. If you use them a lot, or not even that much, they tend to fall out, or as here, they're about to fall out. And they started falling out, or at least looking like that, about, let me give it 5 months since I bought it. Of course, this was years ago. So it's very frustrating, because once they fall out, your canteen or your shovel or your bayonet or whatever is going to rub against the canvas, and it's going to break apart, and it's just going to fall off, and you'll be sitting there with a broken cartridge belt. The other thing is the color. It's hard to tell on the camera because there's no sun out, it's a cloudy day, but the bottom one here is a khaki yellowish color, while original ones were OD, so they're kind of green brownish color, with exceptions such as this one, which is actually kind of a golden color. On the inside, same thing with the eyelet here. This one is falling out in the extender. Look at that. This just fell out just from me moving the cartridge belt. So, whoop-de-doo, don't buy cheap stuff. So make sure you get a good cartridge belt, because also, I almost forgot, you can't see that there. So here on the left side I have it flushed together, but on the right side here, the cheap or the Repro one goes out farther. And the reason for that is the pockets are just about right, which is okay, but it's the spacing between the pockets that are a lot wider, and therefore it makes the belt longer. So for a small guy like myself, when I'm wearing the cartridge belt as in comfortable fitting so it doesn't slide down, it looks just about like that behind my back. They're just about touching on it, both ends. So it looks very odd, and then your canteen's like right on your spine, and it doesn't really help. Same thing goes with the first aid pouches. Again, the color is very odd. You want this kind of color, maybe a little lighter. This one is kind of a dark brown color. Same color as the cartridge belt, don't get this color. The Repro one on the bottom is a lot wider than the original one on the top. The back is okay. You have the, of course, Reproduction stamp there. Excuse me. The hooks are placed a little higher and are a little smaller than the original one, but that's the least of someone's concern compared to all the other problems. And when you want to go to put your tin inside, it's wider, but it's a bit shorter at the same time, either the flap or the actual pouches, so you kind of have to stretch it and force it in there. You can see how I had to pull the nipple up for it to fit, and it just doesn't sit right. I'll show you on the original so you get your mental image there. That's what it's supposed to look like in a good repro or original, oh, damn it, first aid pouch. So hopefully that helps you guys understand why experienced reenactors always tell people do not buy cheap reproduction stuff. You know, you can either buy a good reproduction for $100 or for $50, and I'll explain to you why. I'll do another comparison video on a other cartridge belt. I'll explain to you more on that video, but get a good cartridge belt, original or reproduction, and get good first aid pouches, because you buy once and you buy right, because if you're like me, you basically just wasted what, $40–50 on these two, which I could have used that $50 on other equipment to improve my impressions, but now it's gone to these two. I can maybe sell them for $5 total if I wanted to. So remember, even if it's expensive in the long run, it'll be cheaper to buy the expensive stuff now than to wait later after you bought the cheap stuff. So again, if it guys helped you guys, please let me know by dropping a like. Write a comment on your experience with any cartridge belt. Share the video to help other new reenactors to not buy cheap reproductions, and make sure to subscribe. But besides that, you guys have a great day.